Welcome to the cold case of true crime stories, where cases have gone unsolved for many years and have left investigators puzzled. Welcome again to the cold case of true crime stories. Today we're going to talk about a 25-year-old nurse who disappeared nearly 13 years ago. She goes by the name Kerran Baker. This year she would have been 38 years old. She was a Jamaican who disappeared in the Cayman Islands, and this have left her family puzzled, investigators unsure of what happened to her. But this is just a grim reminder of the cold and calculated world that we're living in. Karen Baker, a wonderful, promising, smart, and beautiful female, vanished without a trace nearly 13 years ago. This has left her family in shock and in total disbelief. And 13 years after her disappearance, authorities are in nowhere closer to finding what really transpired to her. On the evening of Saturday, July the 30th, 2011, the 25-year-old at the time, who would now be 38 years old, Jamaican practical nurse Karen Baker, disappeared from her apartment on Ara Drive, Badon Town, Cayman Islands. Her family from Jamaica and Cayman, the Cayman Islands Police Service, and a group of well-wishers carried out numerous searches back in the year 2011. But 13 years later, there is still no word as to her whereabouts or reasons for her disappearance. Her family at the time of her disappearance were holding on and not giving up, holding on to some hope that she might be found alive. This is the year 2024. 2011 July 30 marked the date that she disappeared. 13 years later, her family is holding on to a thread line of hope, hoping that she might be found alive. But as the days go by and the years pass, this is fading day by day. Kerran was last seen around 7 p.m. on Saturday, July 30th, 2011, leaving Foster's Food Fair on Airport Road with some groceries. CCTV caught her throughout the store doing her regular shopping, and she exited the building, not knowing that this would have been her last known sighting at this location. Her fiancé, family, and friends tried reaching her all that evening into Sunday without any luck. Out of concern, a friend went to Karen's apartment on Sunday afternoon and gained entry with the help of the landlord. So this was Saturday leading into Sunday. So Sunday she was not at her apartment, meaning that whatever transpired to her happened between Saturday evening into early Sunday morning. So this is when she would have disappeared from her apartment or something happened to her. They reportedly found the apartment in a disarray, with her handbag, groceries, and shoes tossed about. The police were contacted and an investigation launched. So this theory is that she was attacked at her apartment. This is the only theory that investigators have concluded so far, based on the arrangement and the disarray of the items that were found. Her groceries were actually found at her apartment. Might be she was tracked to her apartment by someone from the grocery store. However, the police have not concluded any substantial evidence to substantiate this or what really happened to her in the grim hours of the Saturday evening leading into the Sunday morning. At the time of her disappearance, Karen drove a white Honda Civic motor car to the supermarket, which she then drove home. On Monday of the following week, her white Honda Civic motor car was found in Pedro Castle area near a coastline, and on the following day, her set of keys were located close by, with the location of Miss Baker's car becoming a key area of focus. Numerous searches were done of her vehicle, No bloodstains were found or anything out the norm inside the vehicle. The only thing that left investigators puzzled was that the key was not found in the ignition of the car. It was found tossed out the vehicle in close proximity to where the car was located, meaning that someone would have just tossed the key somewhere in order for it to be found. Authorities combed through hours of CCTV footage of the area, hoping that they would have found some substantial evidence that might lead them in the right direction of the case. However, up until this day, those hopes have been dashed as these observations did not yield anything that authorities could use to bring them closer to what happened to Miss Baker. My sister is very beautiful and attractive, so she's always a target. People are always making advances at her and pursuing her, said Kerran's Baker sister Tony Ann. She related a situation where a Jamaican businessman in Cayman became over-obsessed with her. The sister stated that he called other family members, stating that he will take his life if he can't get her. She tried telling him she had a fiancé in Jamaica, but he didn't accept that, so he would call at ridiculous times in the night, up to 6 times per day, the sister stated. Kerran's sister stated that he would show up at her apartment unexpected, stop her in traffic, hide behind her house to see what she was doing. All these ridiculous things. She had to call the police and report him several times, the sister added. Tonian said that the man denied knowing the whereabouts of Kerran. However, the Cayman Islands police have reportedly confiscated his phone and are still pursuing that lead. But 13 years later, authorities are still no closer to closing the case. The Cayman Islands is a British overseas territory and encompasses 3 islands in the Western Caribbean Sea. Cayman is a very small island. In fact, Port St. Catherine, where Kerran is originally from, is bigger than the Caribbean island. The past student of Ascot High School in Port St. Catherine left Jamaica nearly 3 years prior to her disappearance and took up a job offer as a certified registered nurse at a premier medical facility on the island. Describing her sister, Tonian said that her sister can be summed up in one phrase: very family orientated. She's a loving, caring, always looking out for her family. Every month, like clockwork, she would send my monthly allowance and is always checking up on my progress in school and making sure that I stay focused. She always tells me that there is no room for a mistake, said the Wolmer's High Sixth Form sister at the time. She said that her sister kept in close contact with her as they were very close and shared a lot with each other. She further added that before her sister's disappearance, she spoke to her about the fees for attending university and told her not to worry, that I must do my best cause when the time comes she's gonna hold my hand and help me cross that bridge. Kerran Baker is said to be approximately 5 feet 5 inches tall and about 135 pounds. She has brown eyes and dark shoulder length hair. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service has requested the public's assistance on the 13-year anniversary of her disappearance, the Jamaican nurse Kerran Baker. Detectives with Serious Crime Review team have reactivated the investigations into Kerran's disappearance in recent months and are treating it as a murder inquiry. On the evening of July the 30th, 2011, Kerran Baker disappeared without a trace. 13 years later, her friends and family are still in hope that the clinical nurse who came to the Cayman Islands dreaming of success and having a successful career and a happy family will get some justice.
Well, as I don't, until we see, we're trying to get a closure to this. So really, I don't really know when we're leaving it.
We won't leave until we get a closure.
Over a crime investigator's career, there are some cases that are always remembered and the victims who cannot be forgotten, no matter how many years has passed. Kerran Baker is one of those individuals. For Chief Inspector Joseph Wright, the suspected murder of Miss Baker, who disappeared 13 years ago from her Hour Drive home, is one that haunts him to this day. The events of July the 30th, 2011 remains a mystery for investigators and those familiar with the case. According to an investigator with good knowledge of the case, all indications were that she made it home safely. They believe that the person responsible for her murder visited her at her address on the evening of Saturday the 30th of July 2011 and that some incident of some nature probably happened at that address. Authorities theorize that it might have been an element of jealousy that could have triggered the attack that happened to Miss Baker at her apartment. At this stage of the investigation, authorities are nowhere closer in finding the truth of what happened to Miss Baker. Miss Baker's last contact with her mother, Sandra McFarlane Anthony, was on the evening of July the 30th, 2011, in which she told her that she wired some money to Jamaica for her. After that initial contact, no one was able to get in contact with Miss Baker either by phone or by text. Her car, a white Honda Civic motor car, was discovered close to a cemetery in Pedro St. James. The doors were locked and the keys were found tossed in nearby bushes. Forensic evidence were gathered from her car and also her apartment. Extensive search for Baker was conducted within the area, with more than 200 volunteers joining in an effort to locate the missing female. Up until this point, there is no indication that Miss Baker is dead. When days of searching yielded nothing, immigration checks were done to determine if she had left the island. However, records show that she re-entered the Cayman Islands on the 25th of April 2011, and there is no record of her departure from the island. Up to this point, there is no indication that she left the island by normal means, so therefore the authorities considered this itself to be suspicious and that something happened to Miss Baker. Authorities pointed out that the night of Miss Baker's disappearance, there was a CCTV footage that was viewed of a person walking from the direction of where her car was found back to Arrow Drive, where Miss Baker lived. Authorities further added that the image was too grainy and not clear enough for the individual or his feature to be identified. This would have led the case in another direction if this individual might have seen something, or actually this was the actual person that committed the act. However, authorities will never know the truth behind this. The disappearance of Miss Kerran Baker in July 2011 is still an open and an active investigation, with authorities encouraging witnesses to come forward with any information that may assist in solving this matter and bringing her family the closure that they deserve. A $10,000 Crime Stoppers reward for information that leads to the missing woman and the arrest and prosecution of the person or persons involved in her disappearance remain uncollected. Baker is one of more than 20 people who have gone missing in the Cayman Islands since 2010, including 10 boaters lost at sea in 2 separate incidents. This has been the cold case of true crime stories and the case of Kerran Baker. Thanks for watching.